has officially begun, and we'll go ahead and get started. Fantastic, and we'll just admit a few more folks here. John, if you wouldn't mind, while I'm getting the presentation kicked off, just checking that lobby in case anyone continues to join us as we get started. But welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you everyone so much for being here for today's webinar presentation, Navigating Your Science Career Journey, part 2 for our cybersecurity students here at SNHU. My name is Alyssa Laskowski, and I will be your host to walk you through today's presentation. And so I work on SNHU's career engagement team, and my role is to partner with STEM cybersecurity faculty and staff to host sessions like this webinar this evening. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So your experience here at SNHU is important to us. It is our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment. If there are aspects of this presentation's design or delivery that present barriers to accessibility, please notify the appropriate accessibility centers listed here on the screen. So first and foremost, welcome everyone. I would like to take a moment to allow my co-host John to say hello and introduce himself. John?
Hi, everybody. My name is John Kamick, a Senior Associate Dean on our STEM team at SNHU, responsible for our cybersecurity academic programs. Happy to see you all tonight.
Wonderful. Thanks, John. And again, as I've said, for some of you who are just joining us, who have already joined us a little bit early, all microphones and cameras for all student attendees have been disabled. So don't panic there. As long as you can hear me okay and you can see the presentation, you're good to go. So we'll be sure to be utilizing the chat box for all engagement this evening. So please feel free to answer the prompt that you see here on the screen in the chat box, or simply just say hello, maybe where you're from and what year you are at SNHU. Again, we're just very excited for you all to be here this evening. So where are we headed today? So today we will start to share top career exploration resources and tips, focusing on transitioning into the cybersecurity field. We'll also share interviewing prep tips, and we'll also share some resume tips. And then finally, we will share some networking tips and also some communities that students can connect and engage with one another here at SNHU. So as a quick reminder too, this webinar is being recorded. So students are not required to take any notes. However, you're more than welcome to if you'd like. And again, all attendees will receive a follow-up email with all the links to the resources that we discuss, as well as a link to this recording after the presentation today. So just to be sure, in order to get the emailed resources, we do want to ask to make sure that everyone here has officially registered for this webinar if you haven't yet already. And so you can actually register online through my SNHU. I'm going to go ahead and drop the registration link in the chat box one more time, just in case. So again, make sure you do officially register so we can capture your email address, and then way we can make sure you get the follow-up after this presentation. And again, all attendees' mics and cameras have been disabled. And as I stated, we will have time for Q&A at the very end. So feel free to add any questions throughout the presentation directly into the chat box, and we'll make sure that we address them at the very end and read them aloud for you. So without further ado, here we go. So now we will take some time to share some career exploration resources you might want to consider as you outline your own unique cybersecurity career goals. So the first is consider joining a hackathon or a competition. So one of the main advantages of participating in a hackathon is that it will enhance and differentiate your resume. And even if you don't win, taking part in a reputable hackathon like the National Cyber League competition is something to be proud of and may be included on your resume or your LinkedIn profile to help you when you're seeking jobs or internships. These competitions also allow students to test their skills that they've learned in the classroom through a much more practical application. Additionally, hackathons also create really unique opportunities for you to collaborate and network with other professionals in the tech industry. Your faculty advisors often share upcoming hackathons that SNHU partners with, so you can learn more about how to sign up. You can also research any virtual or local hackathons in your area that you can join on your own. Also, we highly encourage students to consider reviewing job boards that are specific to your major. And there are plenty out there for cybersecurity students. So, in addition to using general job boards like LinkedIn or Indeed or Handshake, which are amazing job sites, you can also strongly improve the efficiency and effectiveness of your job and internship search by using these niche job boards. And these specialized sites on the screen here help you better target opportunities that are, again, more directly related to your major. But for example, if working for home or working remotely is a priority for you, you can find those types of listings on these job boards as well. Now, some of these sites refer to the option as remote, or you might see telework or telecommute. So just make sure you keep that in mind when you're searching for opportunities. So we do suggest that you research and view and save some of these types of sites for future career exploration as you start to search for jobs and internship opportunities. Additionally, it can be helpful to look into professional associations like the ones that are listed here on the screen. So, not only can you find trending news articles and information, you also may be able to view job opportunities that are listed. These associations can also open the doors to allow you to connect with other professional members to network and learn about new job opportunities or new events or even new career resources. Additionally, while you're job searching, you may be interested to find employers who offer what's called early career development programs or leadership development rotational programs. So, these entry level programs provide mentoring and training within areas of different industries and experiences that help determine where you're a best fit in each job. So, for example, the National Security Agency offers development programs in cybersecurity operations and cybersecurity engineering. So, these are often 3 year full time paid roles that help participants build their skills or even switch to a new career. These types of structured programs allow you to participate in different rotating positions in multiple business functions of a specific company. And sometimes after completing the program, participants can gain holistic exposure to a bunch of different areas of their function. There's also opportunities for mentorship and to supporting your career growth. And you'll also get some of that hands on experience to aid in your own career development. So, again, more generally speaking, these types of programs can last from anywhere from 1 to maybe 3 years with focused training in one main functional area. And it's really just a great way to gain in field experience. And some of these programs can lead to a formal full time job offer upon completion. So, it's definitely worth noting and looking into if you're interested. And so, if you're considering a move into cybersecurity, but it might feel a little bit challenging because you do not have any maybe specific cyber experience, trust me when I tell you, you are not alone. There are thousands of professionals who are turning to cybersecurity to build their careers, and that includes those who are from a non IT background. And the cybersecurity field yields an exciting career path with great employment opportunities. As of actually of April of 2023, there were over 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs globally. So if there was ever a time to enter this booming industry, it's now. And so students ask us all the time, can I get into cybersecurity without experience? In general, the answer is yes. When it comes to landing a cybersecurity job, hiring managers in the cybersecurity industry are most concerned with the skills you have and the degree program you've completed. So, if you have the technical skills, the soft skills, and a relevant degree, and a willingness to learn, you can find entry level cybersecurity jobs and enter the cybersecurity world. So, let's explore how you can make a career change into cybersecurity related careers by discussing these four options you see here on the screen. So, the first is determine your ideal job role and career path. So, technology is used by companies in every country and most industries, which means there are a lot of places you can go as a cybersecurity professional. So, researching the kind of work you want to do and the kind of company you want to do it at is a crucial step in your journey toward entering the industry. So, when looking for a cybersecurity job, it's important to understand the different available positions since each role has its own unique responsibilities and qualifications. Along with your educational degree and skills learned in other professions, your career aspirations inform your job search. So, choosing a career path that you genuinely want to pursue can provide motivation that makes studying and practicing new skill sets much more enjoyable. It also enables you to research the requirements for each job title so that you can tailor your preparations for maximum effectiveness. So, for students with little to no experience, the best roles to apply for are general roles with a more broad range of responsibilities. And so, here on the screen, you'll note some of the top picks that you can begin to research on your own, which include information security analyst, incident analyst, IT auditor or support specialist, and security systems administrator. So, take some time to do your research on these roles, learn their responsibilities, and assess if you think that role fits your interests, your skills, and your passions. There are opportunities for cybersecurity professionals to find jobs across a wide range of different industries. And actually, one of the major employers of cybersecurity specialists is the government. Every federal agency in the US employs cybersecurity professionals, including and especially the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Of course, outside of the government, cybersecurity professionals might look for jobs at technology companies, maybe like Apple or Intel, or even software development companies like Cisco or GitLab. You can also research banks or even the financial service industry like the Federal Reserve Bank or even Capital One. There are also healthcare companies or healthcare centers like Patient First, and also manufacturing companies like Lockheed Martin or even General Motors. So, again, remember, researching the kind of work you want to do and what kind of company you want to do it at is a crucial step as you journey toward entering the industry. Like becoming a professional in any field, you will need to do your research and build a foundation of technical and soft skills before becoming an expert. So, it's important to make yourself knowledgeable and keep up with evolving industry trends regarding risk analysis, network security, system administration, data management, programming, data analytics, reporting, and security. However, as long as you are passionate about the industry and once you build your foundational cybersecurity skills, you can begin to apply for entry level cybersecurity roles and quickly build your career. We understand it can seem like a daunting task learning the technical skills, but it's certainly not the be all and end all. In fact, soft skills often set cybersecurity professionals apart when they're trying to break into the cyber industry and land their first role. You may even have the relevant soft skills needed right now to make a career pivot to the cyber industry. So some of the top soft skills that employers are oftentimes looking for include problem solving, collaboration, flexibility, communication, persistence, and curiosity. So once you've identified your technical skills and your soft skills, you'll want to be sure that you continue to highlight them on your resume, your future job applications, during your interviews, or even post the skills you have on your LinkedIn profile so that employers know that you have the knowledge and the expertise that they are specifically looking for. And now I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, John.
Yes, and so when you think about other ways that you can get into the cybersecurity industry, we often recommend pursuing other types of learning opportunities in addition to your degree program. So they could range from anything from short courses available on sites like LinkedIn Learning, which incidentally you have access to for free as an SNHU student, where there are over 5,000 different courses, trainings, and videos related to cybersecurity and a variety of other STEM-related topics. In addition, another resource that's often overlooked is our O'Reilly collection in the Shapiro Library, where it has, I want to say, probably the single biggest library of current industry-related publications, cert prep training guides, video tutorials, and ebooks related to cybersecurity in any one of the specialties within the discipline of cybersecurity. So if you're interested in, for example, in computer forensics, there'll be resources there you can look at. And this type of thing can save you a lot of money from instead of buying books on Amazon or purchasing paid subscriptions, because these are benefits that you have access to as a student of SNHU. Back to you,
Awesome.
Alyssa.
Thanks. Thank you, John. So it's also a good idea to think about taking up volunteer or freelance work to build your portfolio. So, practical experience is extremely valuable both for your development as a cybersecurity professional and your resume. However, practical experience does not always have to be paid experience. So, there are other ways that you can practice your cybersecurity skills in a real world and collaborative setting. So here are just a few recommendations on the screen. So, in a world where cybersecurity is needed by many, but maybe not everyone has access to it, volunteer projects or unpaid internships are easier to come by. There are even organizations that provide free cybersecurity to charities that can't afford it for themselves. Organizations like Hackers for Change or Cyber Peace Institute and the International Information System Security Certification Consortium, Inc., are always on the lookout for student volunteers. You should also strongly consider volunteering for a legitimate organization in your city and state so you can do your research. You can search online for either nonprofits in your area, and you can also check job sites like Indeed or LinkedIn for volunteer opportunities as well. You can even make your LinkedIn headline looking for volunteer opportunities or open to work. So, taking the time to make some tweaks to your profile and networking with other professionals can go a long way to help you land a volunteer opportunity. You can also consider freelance projects. You could start to look for temporary or even part time internships that may be paid or unpaid on sites like Handshake, Indeed, LinkedIn, and Glassdoor that you can do while you're working through your education. You can also consider what's called open source cybersecurity projects as a great way to practice and develop your skills. So, what does open source mean? It's when a project is open source, it means anybody is free to use, study, modify, and distribute your project for any purpose. So high profile projects can even be included on your resume, as interviewers will likely have experience with them as well. So for example, open source GitHub cybersecurity projects are developed and maintained and dedicated contributors. They provide valuable tools and framework and resources to enhance various security practices. So those are some projects you can look into specifically on GitHub. And lastly, if you want to explore more substantial work projects, SNHU has a great relationship with a company called Forage, which offers free virtual real world experience programs with Fortune 500 companies that are located nationwide. And as an SNHU student, you can explore Forage work experience, or what they're called as known as job simulations, to showcase your cybersecurity knowledge and gain hands on experience. So, job simulations in a nutshell, they contain real industry tasks to help you develop transferable skills for workplace readiness. And each virtual experience program requires a small amount of designated time, usually anywhere between a few hours during a scheduled time frame and deadline. So you can learn new skills and take on new experiences through Forage. So let's go ahead and start talking about some resume tips. So, if and when you're applying for a cybersecurity job or internship, your resume is often the very first document that hiring managers are going to review when deciding whether you're a good fit. So, to create a strong cybersecurity resume, you need to know your strengths and your weaknesses in relation to the position that you're seeking. So, write your resume to align your qualifications with the needs and preferences of those potential employers. So think about it like taking the same approach as with a potential security issue. Start by gathering some data about the job and your experience and your qualifications, and then use the right format and a good template to present that data in a way that points to you as the solution for the employer's needs. So, first step is to write a dynamic profile that summarizes your qualifications. So, hiring managers, they are quite busy people, so you only have a few seconds to capture their attention. So, lead with a compelling summary that encapsulates the strongest aspects of your experience as an aspiring cybersecurity analyst. So, start with an opening sentence that lists your title, perhaps maybe years of experience, and maybe 3 to 4 skills that align with the job description. And be sure that you tailor your summary profile to each job and each position you apply for. Secondly, you'll want to add an accomplishment driven professional experience section, or AKA your bullet points. Your professional experience section is the foundation of your resume and should feature your most impactful career achievements. Although it's not easy to quantify your accomplishments, leveraging data and metrics can significantly enhance the strength of your resume. A proven record of success attracts hiring managers and further legitimizes your experience and your unique qualifications. Thirdly, you'll want to include your relevant education or any certifications first. Organizations hiring cybersecurity analysts are looking for professionals who are experts in their fields. So including your education degree or any other credentials clearly and first on your resume helps demonstrate your expertise and increases a hiring manager's comfort level in offering you a potential position. So again, make sure you list your most relevant education and any other credentials like certifications or coursework first on your resume so it's clearly visible. And fourth, you want to make sure you list those pertinent key skills. So before a hiring manager can decide to call you in for an interview, they must see that resume. And so your document will often pass through, what's called an applicant tracking system. It's a computer program designed to look for the most relevant resumes. So these programs do their job by looking for specific skills and specific keywords, including relevant cybersecurity analyst skills, especially those mentioned by the employer in the actual job posting. It can help you make it through that ATS system. So, for example, don't just say you secured systems in a past position. Be specific by saying you engaged in cloud security and protected platforms via antivirus solutions or firewall configurations, things of that nature, for example. And lastly, make sure you showcase your knowledge of cybersecurity concepts and trends. Technology is constantly evolving and changing. So make it challenging to it can and also that can make it challenging to remain current in every new industry. So hiring managers expect you to stay current with cutting edge technologies and cybersecurity trends. So for example, you can create a compelling summary that showcases your understanding of AI powered cybersecurity and machine learning. So let's go over just a few examples of some summary profiles here that you see on the screen. Excuse me. One is more for a senior candidate, and one is just an example of a more entry level candidate. So, for example, if you're applying for a cybersecurity analyst role in a hospital, maybe it could help you by mentioning your knowledge of HIPAA or the electronic health records. So, this showcases your expertise in technology profession that's specific to the medical field. Another example, if a company is focused on cloud security, you want to draw your attention to that specific expertise area in your summary profile. And lastly, let's tackle just a few examples of your professional experience bullet points. Again, one on a little bit more of a senior level and one that's a little bit more entry level. So, for example, you might write that you implement new cybersecurity protocols and threat mitigation techniques, reducing breach risk by 25%. So, create engaging text in this section by following a formula that starts with an action verb, an achievement, and a metric. This type of bullet point formula is really helpful, regardless if you have cybersecurity experience or not. Starting bullet points with action verbs helps hiring managers visualize your accomplishments and how they might be relevant to the position that you're applying for. They also make your resume much easier to read and scan, something that busy hiring managers really do appreciate. So, whenever possible, begin statements about what you've done in past positions with really strong, relevant action verbs. So, for example, analyze security risks or detected security risks are much more powerful phrases than a more passive, responsible for security risk analysis, just as a few examples. So, if you're thinking about this and starting to think, well, I think my resume might need some updating, or maybe I need to start my resume from scratch, there are tons of great free templates that are out there and available for you. So, you can research a variety of free resume templates that are online, or you can use SNHU's Skill First free resume builder. So, on the screen here is a quick demo walkthrough of Skills First Resume Builder. So, Skills First, you can think of it as a one stop shop when it comes to getting started with your resume or getting help with updating your current resume. So, Skills First lets you upload your current resume or browse other resume templates and examples. Or again, you can create a brand new resume from scratch on your own. You can also browse resume templates by the type of work experience, your level of experience, and the site gives you guidance of how to organize your resume so that it best suits your unique professional story. And if you have any questions about Skills First, you can always reach out to the SNHU Career Advising team for help, or you can view the Skills First how to videos that I'll make sure to share in that email follow up after this presentation. So let's go ahead and jump into interviewing. So, landing a job in the cybersecurity field can definitely be challenging, but with the proper preparation, you should be able to ace any type of interview that comes your way. If you're applying for cybersecurity roles, you can prepare for interviews by reviewing questions interviewers may ask and prepare some of your answers to those questions in advance. And so, there are several types of interview questions that you might encounter when applying for a job in cybersecurity. So, some of the most common types of interview questions are behavioral, technical, and case based. So, behavioral interview questions focus on your experiences and how you handled certain situations. And really, the interviewer wants to know how you would react in a similar situation in the job that you are applying for. Now, technical interview questions, they test your knowledge of specific cybersecurity concepts and technologies. So, some common topics include network security, cryptography, intrusion detection systems, maybe malware, firewall configurations, and other cybersecurity tools and software. And lastly, case based questions are similar to behavioral interview questions, focusing on particular cybersecurity scenarios. So, the interviewer will ask you how you would handle a particular situation. Case based questions can also be more like proficiency demonstration simulations or even practical tests. So, this can involve analyzing a piece of code, solving maybe a mock security challenge, or proposing solutions to a hypothetical scenario. And lastly, interviewers will typically ask a few more general questions to help establish some facts and learn a little bit about you and your personality and attitude towards work. So it can also be useful to prepare answers for these types of general questions that are likely to occur. Questions like, why do you want to work for this organization? Or what led you to apply for this job? And what makes you a suitable candidate? So when it comes to interviewing, preparation is key. So this means it's important that you begin by familiarizing yourself with the company that's hiring and what exactly they're looking for. So make sure you take some time to research the company that's interviewing you. This will show the interviewer that you are interested in the company and you know about their business. So, some of the things that you could research about the company include their history, their mission statement, or their values. You can also research new or recent articles about them or the specific products or services they have. Additionally, understanding how the role you're applying for benefits the organization's broader objectives. So, this means it's important that you understand the company's culture and values, and it also can give you a really unique edge during the interview process. And make sure that you are ready to ask questions too. By asking questions, you can show your own unique expertise. You can also gain valuable insights into the organization that you are interviewing with. Asking these specific questions shows you are interested in the company and its position. It also allows you to gauge whether the company is a good fit for your skills and your own individual career goals. Remember, you are interviewing them too. Apart from enabling you to hack the job interview and succeed, preparation will also help you manage the stress and expectations that come along with interviewing. And so hopefully this will result in a more confident and stronger ability to ace those interview questions. So, as you begin to prepare your interview answers, it could be helpful to consider getting some practice in. So, mock interviews provide job seekers with an opportunity to practice, receive feedback, and improve your skills. A mock interview also helps you develop your interviewing strategies, enhance your communication skills, answer some of those challenging questions, and again, ease those nerves that many experience before their interviews. So, cybersecurity students can explore a few options when it comes to completing a mock interview. Excuse me. Students can actually use SNHU's Skills First practice interviewing feature. So again, Skillsforce is that platform that provides free career assessments, resume builders, resources, and tools for all SNHU students. And lastly, cybersecurity students are strongly encouraged to think about meeting one-on-one with an SNHU career advisor to go over interview prep and advice. So as you continue your career exploration research, it's important to consider the power of making great connections. So, tapping into connections and networking is essential since it will help you develop your skill sets, help you stay on top of the latest industry trends, meet prospective employers, and gain access to the necessary resources that will help foster your career growth. So let's take a few moments to watch this video together of an on-campus SNHU student who used networking to advance her own unique career.
Through my time at SNHU, I really learned the power of networking. I learned very early on that by joining clubs and reaching out to your advisors, you ultimately get connected with people and businesses in the real world. I found that just through talking to my career advisor, I was able to connect just from a recommendation from a professor who I didn't have or I didn't even know.
The way that Megan got connected to the job at Jellyfish is because I saw a posting on LinkedIn and shared that with posting with several people here on LinkedIn also, and then several people posted it within the Career Center, and then somebody reached out to Megan. So it was a chain of networking.
So networking is a really important skill for our students because it's not what you know, it's who you know, and also who knows you. So that phrase has been true since I was a student, and really our students, if they reach out to their networks that they have now, which includes their own family and friends and their faculty here at SNHU, they will get connected to opportunities and learn a lot more stuff than they can ever do on their own. So I think one of the worst things you could do is actually do your job search by yourself. Use your network, talk to the people you know who want to help you.
I found that the process of finding a job was easier with the Career Center's help. Not only was I able to find a job through networking, which is most times easier than just cold calling or sending in your resume to random employers who may or may not know who you are, but it was much easier to network and give a personal introduction to someone who I will now be working for at Jellyfish.
The best way that a student can increase their confidence in networking skills is to just get out there and do it. Walk into a new event and just say, I want to walk out of here with meeting one new person. The next one you go into, I want to walk out of here with knowing 3 new people. It's not about the collection of the business cards, it's actually getting to know people and finding out what they do and how you can help them.
Now that I've landed my job, I don't think I would have done anything differently. Working with my career advisor early on freshman year to now has been a great journey, and just because she was able to give me this one-off recommendation, I now have a full-time role right out of school, which is fantastic. So I think that throughout my time at SNHU, working with my career advisor, going to the career fairs, and ultimately developing my career path have all been beneficial and helped me get to my end goal.
Awesome. I love watching that video. So you might be thinking, well, what are some other steps that I can take to network across SNHU? So a few ideas here I've located or listed here on the screen. So first, you can connect with SNHU alumni and peers through SNHU's online cyber league called the Cyber Snoopers. So this is actually a student-run Discord channel where you can connect with fellow cyber students and alumni. You can share resources and pose questions, network, and more. The SNHU career team also uses SNU Connect. So SNU Connect is a really great networking opportunity and tool for students to join any and all online clubs. So you can find out more about SNHU's online student communities, like the ones listed here on the screen, like Nerds Unite Club or Women in Technology, by contacting our Office of Student Involvement directly. So again, that email is there listed on the screen as well. But you can also browse those online communities through My SNU or connect directly through SNU Connect. And as I mentioned, we as a career team here at SNHU, we use SNU Connect often to post leads on jobs, events, and networking opportunities. So not only is SNU Connect a really great networking tool, it's also a really fantabulous resource to learn about happenings that are across career and across the online communities here at SNHU. And so outside of SNHU, you can also research and join other cyber communities that are online and subscribe to blogs or podcasts that interest you. So a good network can provide endless value and include future job opportunities and opportunities to connect with other cybersecurity enthusiasts. So first and foremost, LinkedIn is a crucial tool for network building. So regardless of who you meet or how you meet, sending them an invitation to connect on LinkedIn is always a really great way to start networking. Connecting directly with recruiters on LinkedIn who are posting, who are very active online, is a great place to start as well. So you can ask any job-related questions or seek job leads, explore professional leads or networking events and opportunities through LinkedIn. And there are some other online communities mentioned here on the screen that are also ideal or perfect place to begin your networking efforts. So for example, Try Hack Me is a Discord server for sharing cybersecurity resources that has over 140,000 members. NetSec Focus is another online community for cybersecurity professionals and enthusiasts to share knowledge and experiences. Trusted Sec is also a public Slack channel for, again, all cybersecurity enthusiasts. And some other blogs, podcasts, or YouTube videos. Here on the screen, there's CSO Online, which is a cybersecurity blog, along with The Last Watchdog. Hacker News is a website that covers the latest cyber attacks and malware. And then John Hammond, Network Chuck, and David Bombell are all YouTube channels that are covering a variety of cybersecurity topics. So we have covered a lot in our presentation today. So let's take a pause and let's talk about some of the big highlights and perhaps some potential action steps for you to take. So think about where you are right now in your career journey. Are you just starting out? Do you already have several years of experience? Are you shifting careers entirely? Or maybe looking to move up in your current role? No matter where you are, starting from, you can start taking proactive steps now to get closer to your career goals. So here are some outline next steps for you to consider on the screen. Again, you do not have to do all of them or in any particular order. Just pick one or two to get yourself started. It's all about starting with action plans that fit your needs here and now. So, with that being said, we've come to the Q&A portion of our presentation. Thank you all so much for joining us for this part 2 of our series. We will be hosting our final part 3 of our career webinar series on December 13th, actually where we will be inviting several cybersecurity alumni and recruiters to share tips and advice for careers in cybersecurity. So in the few weeks, you'll start to see invitations to join us for that part 3 series. So definitely encourage you to register to attend. So for now, feel free to type your questions into the chat and we'll take a moment to go through those and read those aloud. And while you're doing that, please feel free to take a moment to scan the QR code here that you see on the screen as well. Just a quick survey about tonight's presentation. Again, as I mentioned, this webinar is being recorded. And all the attendees who are here this evening will receive that follow-up email with all the links to the resources we have discussed, as well as a link to this recording. But we do want to make sure in order that you do get those emailed resources, you want to make sure that you did officially register for this webinar. So once more, I will be copying and pasting that registration link here in the chat. So just make sure you formally do that with your SNHU email address so we can make sure that you're captured there and we'll be able to email you those resources. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll back up to the chat because I want to make sure we do not miss any questions. And I see there's been a lot of engagement in the chat box. So thank you all so much for connecting with one another, sharing resources. That's what we love about these live webinar sessions. It's definitely a unique opportunity for all of you to connect with each other as well. So let me get ahead and I'm just going to scroll down and see if I can find the first question here. Again, feel free to pop more questions into the chat as well. And thank you, Angela. Angela Woods is one of our career advisors here at SNHU. So thank you so much for putting great resources here in the chat box. So one of the first questions I see here says, does SNHU have resources to guide someone to adjust their resume to reflect a specific field? For example, healthcare in cyber information security. So it looks like Angie even answered that question. So Yes, we do. We do offer a lot of different resources, one of those being Skills First, which is that resume builder that I had mentioned here in our presentation. But we also do encourage you to reach out directly to our SNHU career advising team. So the contact information is located here on the screen at coccareer@snhu.edu. You can always email or call anytime. We do encourage students to reach out to our career advising team to get that one-on-one intentional support. So you can ask a lot of those individual questions directly with a professional career advisor who can walk you through um, some of those more in-depth resume questions. So thank you for that. Yep, and so these slides will be available after the webinar. They sure will be. We'll make sure that recording gets sent out to everybody within, usually it takes about 1 or 2 days to make the recording. So you'll check and be on the lookout in your SNHU email address for recordings and links here. Another question that came through, I'm on disability and 60 years old and I love learning and I want to go into system engineering or security, be a security analyst. I now have my associates, but how do I get experience or internships or volunteer work? So great question. So again, we did cover some of this in the presentation earlier today, but definitely want to make sure that you're exploring some volunteer opportunities. So you can look into volunteer or unpaid internships. There are opportunities to do some freelance projects as well. So again, looking back once we go through and send that recording to you for this webinar and some of the resources, you can take a peek at those. We'll be sure to highlight those in more specific detail. But I also highly encourage you to reach out to the SNHU Career Services team here so you can get some more hands-on assistance with that. And as an online student, do we have access to career people at SNHU? Yes, you sure do. So I know that video was a little bit confusing. That was an example of an SNHU on-campus student. So we do have obviously a physical career development office located on campus in New Hampshire for those on-campus students. But our SNHU Career Services team here, again, the contact information on the screen, serves all of our online SNHU students. So we do have a dedicated team of over, I believe, 70 plus career advising professionals that assist all of our online students. So by reaching out to that inbox, you'll be connected with a dedicated career advisor who can assist you. And do you have an invite to the Discord server? Yes. So again, in that email follow, we'll be sure to include that Discord channel for anyone who is interested. Perfect. Just scrolling through. Another great question. So are there any cyber simulations we can use to learn other than competitions that you discussed? Asking as I'm in the master's program and looking for more, it's not as technical hands-on learning and I'm looking for more technical experience. So maybe John, I'll turn that over to you.
Certainly, there are many opportunities where you can access realistic cyber simulations. It could be something as simple as downloading certain free software packages like Cisco Packet Tracer or GNS3, which allow you to simulate anything from a very simple network environment to a very complex corporate network. Playing with open source technologies like Linux, learning how to configure them, secure them, different variations of Linux distribution. Those are all very low cost, easy way to simulate something you'd see in a real world environment. In addition to that, some of the resources we mentioned earlier through LinkedIn Learning, as well as the O'Reilly collection and the Shapiro Library, they will actually provide guided walkthroughs with different technologies. So if you wanted to look at a learning path in cybersecurity related to cloud computing, for example, you'd be able to find not only lessons on how to configure and use some of the cloud technologies, but some of the theory behind their architecture and different security principles that would be employed to secure those environments. So there's a variety of ways that you can get hands-on experience without actually having to take part in competitions. Although I would really strongly suggest that you consider the National Cyber League as a student because it's really geared towards students of all backgrounds and all technical experience levels, whether you're somebody working in industry right now, looking to move into management, or somebody who's looking to gain entry into the industry as an analyst or somebody who's just starting out. So the other benefit is if you are looking for resume builders, these types of experiences are really, really great things to put on there. Showing that you've had experience doing stuff, talking about projects you've had. For example, if you curate your own blog, talk about a journey through how you've secured a system, build build your professional network, look for projects in other types of collaborative opportunities with students and other folks in your social network. These are all realistic simulation type activities that really can help differentiate you as you're hunting for that new job.
Awesome. Thank you, John. And this might be another one question geared more towards you. We had a question come in. What are some good certifications to obtain for a cybersecurity position?
So that's going to really depend upon the position that you're looking for, as well as where you're working. Some of them are required as part of your job. For example, if you work in the government space, there are regulations for workforce hiring and training that require people in certain positions to have certain certifications, like, for example, the CompTIA Security Plus, Network Plus, ISC Squared, CISSP. Those are all very, very well-known certifications, but I would suggest that when you look at a certification, consider a few aspects of that. There's going to be a fairly large investment of time and energy to learn the material. You really want to get some experience with the test format for that certification. A lot of them are hands-on tests, whether remote or on-site at a testing center, where they will expect you to be able to not only describe what you know, but to show what you can do with certain technologies. So, as far as any kind of other popular ones, generally we recommend students start with CompTIA because they're geared towards early level practitioners, and then they have an advancement path with certifications that are quite good. If you have a certain specialty, um, other good providers would be, like, for example, an organization called GIAC. They have a lot of niche certifications. EC Council has certifications related to ethical hacking that are very popular. So I think it's really just a matter of finding kind of where you want your niche to be, looking at what cert would be most achievable given your experience level, and then kind of working from there.
Awesome. And I think you kind of touched on this, but a similar question. Students asked, I'm about to finish up my degree. So would gathering certifications be the way to go, or should I just jump into an entry-level IT job and then work my way towards getting some of those certifications?
I think that for most people, jumping into the job and getting the hands-on experience will provide some substantial benefits, because not only are you able to start showing what you can do in an applied setting, but you're building your professional network while you're doing it, working with the people that you'll be with, looking at their networks and who they're connected to, and putting out new invitations to connect. That's really what a lot of times will separate folks who are having real difficulty finding that job from those who are looking at multiple opportunities. The professional networking is really key nowadays.
Absolutely. Looks like there was might have been kind of a question here, but it's the student stated, I'm interested in cyber forensics, but now just making more of a career change and just looking for some advice within that field. John, any insight into cyber forensics?
Yes, forensics is a fairly specialized niche in the cybersecurity industry. And depending upon the type of forensics you're talking about, you may be looking at working in a public service setting, like, for example, a law enforcement agency. Or if you're looking on the investigative side in the commercial space, it could be for someone like a private investigator, or helping with acting as an expert witness, in that kind of scenario. So with that, you may want to consider networking with current law enforcement professionals or some of the trade associations, and seeing if that could be an entryway into a position in that area.
Awesome. Thank you, John. I think that might have been all the questions. If I accidentally missed yours, please feel free to use that chat box. Pop that question. I know I was scanning pretty quickly here. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. But I just see just a plethora of flurry of activity. All of you putting in some great suggestions like Hack the Box, reaching out to Terry Wynn, who is basically the coach for that Discord channel that I mentioned for Cyber Snoopers. He is a fabulous contact. He also serves as the National Cyber League coach for that competition when it is held annually. So he's just a great contact to have in mind. So I'm glad some students are singing his praises here in the chat box. That's very exciting, and just sharing a plethora of other great resources. So again, just such a wonderful reason why we love putting these webinars together. It gives all of you an opportunity to share amongst each other the resources that have worked for you. So that's really exciting to see that. Wondering if you could put the link to part 1. Yep, absolutely, Noah. Happy to do that. I'll make sure that that link gets posted. And again, it will be included in the email send that will take place after this part 2 is recorded as well. So we'll make sure to include the part 1 in that email, but happy to add that here in the chat as well. Another question came in. Is there any hope for people who don't dabble in social media as much? So I understand that networking is important, but just wondering if there's other opportunities to network outside of social media. So absolutely. If social media is not necessarily a platform that suits you, it's just important that you find a space in where networking makes sense for you. That's really kind of the point. As a tool, of course, social media is a really great way to get out there and make some of those connections because there are such a stronghold or a plethora of those opportunities. But attending events is definitely a really great way to make more of those personal connections. So if you're more interested in having conversations with employers or alumni, or coming to these types of presentations, if that's more your speed, there are those types of opportunities that fit more of your networking needs and where you find yourself being more comfortable. So again, continue to explore networking opportunities that again that suit your needs. If you find that perhaps going to LinkedIn or going to YouTube, Facebook, or SNU Connect just aren't in your wheelhouse, that is totally okay. We find that most students prefer to do more of the event attending, so they can really get those connections live in the moment. So that might be a really great opportunity as well.
One thing I can add to that too, Belinda, is when you're looking at social media and you know kind of ways to be the most practical with it. If you're not in the kind of the side of it where you're actively engaging with a lot of different people in industry, what you may want to consider is a more directed approach where you seek out some recruiters that have positions that are similar to what you're looking for, and maybe just connect with them, right? And even if you don't engage with them, actively, a lot of times what they will do is they will directly send posts to people in their networks passively. So you don't even have to engage with them unless you see something of interest. So think of it almost like as a way to get a tailored search for job positions
Hey guys, real quick,
using that
everything we
technology.
can. Awesome, thanks, John. Let's see here. Looks like we had a comment. I'm already a law enforcement officer. I would just like to know, how do I go about doing other law enforcement cybersecurity positions similar to something in the FBI?
So one thing to remember with the federal agencies is that their hiring processes are very well described, very formal, and they don't really deviate from them in most cases. So if you're looking for positions with the FBI, almost all of them will be posted on USA Jobs, right, or
Mm-hmm.
other federal portals for job postings. And their process is a very standardized type of screening process that all applicants go through. So having a experience as a law enforcement officer is definitely beneficial in the process, but you also consider your competitiveness with other skills that it's looking for in certain job roles, which they very much describe in their job postings. Federal government's a little bit different in that respect than other companies.
Awesome. Another question related more to networking. So, are there any recommendations on where to start with networking as a new student for cybersecurity? Absolutely. So, in this presentation this evening, we covered a lot of different opportunities for networking, specifically some SNU related communities that you're more than welcome to join. The first being that Discord channel called Cyber Snoopers. Again, we'll be sure to include a link to that channel in some of our follow up. But there also are some really great STEM related communities that are offered through SNU through the Office of Student Involvement that you can join online. So they're specifically online clubs. One, for example, is called Nerds Unite, which is a really great group. Another, Women in Technology group. So these are just an opportunity for SNU students to connect with other SNU peers and SNU alumni. So it's a really great place to start in networking because you already have something in common. You're already affiliated with the university. So it's a really easy way to kind of get to know your peers and other people who might be in the same boat as you. So definitely encouraging students to start in networking through some of the SNU communities we have already. And again, as I mentioned in the presentation, outside of SNU, there are a plethora of LinkedIn communities out there that you can join related to cybersecurity, or really all about connecting cybersecurity enthusiasts. So again, after this presentation this evening, I'll be sure to include a link to some of those that you're welcome to check out on your own. And that includes other YouTube channels, there's other blogs, things of that nature. So it's really all about finding your interests and then joining up in those communities that make sense for you. Let's see here. What is your perspective on the SANS training? Is the hefty cost worth it? John, are you familiar with SANS? I'm probably not even saying that right. SANS training, or
Yeah, no, you're
SANS
saying it
training.
right. So
Thank you.
SANS is very well known in industry. They're very highly regarded, and they generally have pretty cutting edge learning opportunities for students. That being said, the disadvantage is that they're always have been very, very costly. The other thing too is that their materials tend to be very, very intensive and designed for like that really short burst of high intensity learning. So it's not necessarily the best approach for everybody. Some people really benefit from that type of setting. Um, but I would just say to consider some of the lower cost alternatives that cover some of the same objectives that are available. And again, when you look at the resources available through our library, or LinkedIn Learning, you may find that they are fairly close in their in their coverage, even if you don't have the instructor component that you'd get with the SANS training. So it's certainly good, but it is expensive.
Awesome. We had a couple other scholarship related questions come through. So one, I have a question regarding the DoD Cybersecurity Scholarship. So SNHU students aren't able to apply for the program yet. Is there a way that SNHU will advance that partnership?
We are actively evaluating that. One thing to keep in mind with those particular programs is they typically run on an annual cycle. And I believe the cycle for the next set of grants for students with that particular program won't open back up until the spring of next year. So while we're looking at joining that and participating it, there's a lot of back-end administration that we need to work out. After receiving our CAE designation, we're just starting to look at that now. But the earliest opportunity that it would be available would be sometime next year.
Awesome. Thank you, John. And does SNHU give a voucher for the CompTIA exam?
We have discounts. We are a CompTIA Learning Academy, so as part of that, students do get a benefit of a discounted exam fee. And I believe that one of your advisors can help you track down the right person to get that information.
Absolutely. And I believe there are some resources available online just that, again, give some brief overview of that discount. But as John said, reaching out to your academic advisor is going to be the key person to get more information on that. But I can do some digging on my end as well, and we'll make sure to add that to some of the resources that will be shared later on this evening. Again, just scrolling through. Thank you all so much. We only have a few moments left, so just wanted to make sure looks like one of the last questions here. So along with Nerds Unite, what are some of the other SNHU Connect groups that were mentioned? So again, there are some really great SNHU online communities. If you go through, actually through your My SNU portal, you can research, it's called the Office of Student Involvement. They are the ones that oversee all of the online SNHU communities, and they oversee actually the entire SNU Connect platform. So I know off the top of my head, just the Nerds Unite is the big one that I hear of the most. Again, the Women in Technology is another one, but there are a plethora. I think there's ones even more focused in for honor students. There are a few who are interested in, I think there's one that's all about like ghost hunting or hacking. So there's a lot of other fun, non-major program related communities you're welcome to join. But definitely researching the Office of Student Involvement, or even just going right to SNU Connect, will be your best answer to see all of the available online communities that are available for you to join. Let's see here. And related, I think, to the CompTIA, is that discount good for life? If you graduate and you want to use that CompTIA discount later on, would you still be able to get it? I want
I
to say
believe,
yes,
yeah, I
but
believe it's tied to your email domain. I think if you have an edu email, then that would still be applicable. It's new.edu. That being said, once you get get connected to who can find you the voucher code information, they'd probably be able to research that question for you.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to echo that. I would definitely confirm that when you reach out to your academic advisor, and get more of that detailed information. But that's a great question for them. And then after graduation or after graduating, excuse me, I'm looking into the master cybersecurity program here at SNHU. So any advice on how best to approach this?
I think if you're just getting your undergrad in cybersecurity, consider if it's time to jump into the job market or looking for something that's in your area of specialty or interest, and then weigh the pros and cons against starting another degree program because it's a very large investment, and so you want to make sure that while you're pursuing the investments that are best fit for your academic journey, consider other aspects of your career as well, right? Whether it's time to dive into the job search, whether it's time to really find a niche specialty through certification, or whether the academic program is really what's best for you. And certainly we have students that choose multiple paths there. One thing I can tell you is that the degree program will be there. So if you wanted to jump right in, by all means. If not, um, we'll be here when you're ready.
Awesome. And that's a perfect way to wrap up our evenings. We're a little over time. So thank you, every single one of you who have joined us here this evening. We greatly appreciate your time. Hope the information was helpful and valuable. Again, be on the lookout for email to your SNHU email address with links again to this recording and links to all the resources that have been discussed. With that, we will let everyone log off, and we hope that you can join us back for part 3, which again, more information on that will be coming out. That event is happening on the 13th of December. So thank you all again. I hope you enjoy your evening. Have a great, wonderful rest of the night and take care. Thank you all so much.